Welcome. We're talking about charitable donations. That whole thing, charitable donations, is under an assault from Canada Revenue Agency. Charities are getting audited, and especially if they have a political voice. If they spend more than 10% of their budget complaining about what the government does, the hit squad comes and audit city begins and the charity loses its license and they become dust, like small furry animals versus Big Mac trucks, dead on the road. So, charities are not all it's cracked up to be. So I'm going to start off with, first of all, legitimate charities. They're out there. Pick a good one. But just understand this. There's no tax advantage. There's this myth out there that if I donate to a charity, I'm better off. That's crap. You donate $1, you get a 46-cent tax credit between the federal government and the provincial government. That means you're out of pocket 54 cents, whatever that was. And and I'm not saying that you don't donate, but I'm saying is don't think that you're ahead of the game. You had $1, you get back 46 cents. You're not ahead of the game. You're out of pocket. So just make sure that you understand that. And when you go on Canada Revenue Agency's website to check out if the charity is registered with them, that's useful information. It doesn't mean you can rely on it. There's all kinds of people bankrupt today because they relied on the fact that Canada Revenue Agency had them listed on their site as approved charities, so people donated on the strength of believing in their government. Now that takes us into these evil schemes where these magical gurus come up with these phenomenal tax savings to put all kinds of money in your pocket. And they've literally victimized thousands and thousands and thousands of Canadians from coast to coast who got sucked into a charitable donation scheme, business losses schemes, all of that stuff. And, I've worked with the producers of tax documentaries, and there was one on CFDO called along the lines of CRA victimizing the victims. And this particular donation scheme was fiscal arbitrators. And so that is a group that has just financially ruined all kinds of people. But let's talk about what their deal is. They invented business losses. And one of their prime targets was nurses. Why a nurse? Well, nurses are really easy victims for one simple reason. They're trained to respect authority. If the doctor says do it, don't do it, they follow it without thought or reason. They understand that experts are needed in the field. They listen to the experts. So knowing that a nurse is likely to follow the philosophy of experts and listen to their advice and just put their financial fate in their hands, they're the ones that fiscal arbitrators went after big time. We've handled a number of clients, nurses, who have been ruined. There's one case of public record, I'll just mention it, Heather McDonald from Brampton, Ontario, who's lost her home because she went into fiscal arbitrators and thought that they're professionals, they know what they're doing, they'll save me taxes. And let's just sort of go into that for a second. Canada Revenue Agency is quick to say they ought to have known better. They were willfully blind. Let's start off with willfully blind. There was a general and there was a war. And he was told to alert the armies when the enemy ships came around the corner of the island so that they would know to retreat. He didn't want to retreat. So when the ship came around the island, he was a one-eyed captain. He put his blind eye up to the scope and said, I don't see anything. That was willfully blind. Now, willfully blind has got a broad thing when it comes to taxes, and it's like you didn't stop to think, you should have looked, you should have known, and you ought to have known better. And one of the things that they like to say, if it sounds too good to be true, then it must be too good to be true. Well, sometimes things are pretty good. But let's start off with the thinking. How are we raised? We grow up believing in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. And this isn't a criticism against religion, it's an observation about religion. I'm a spiritual person. And all the different religions, they all say they're right, and they all say that their God is real. And in spite of all the evidence to the contrary, for instance, like with evolution versus creationism, we ignore facts to believe what we want to believe. So if we believed in Santa Claus and we believed in the boogeyman and we believed in the Easter Bunny and all those things, maybe society has just raised us to believe in professionals. We look for their designations, we look for their credentials, and we want to believe in professionals, and we can't know everything. So I'm sorry, I don't believe these people ought to have known better. I believe these people got conned, hook, line, and sinker. And I've flown across the country, and I've talked to people about this, and I know that these people believed that what they were doing was okay. What about the fact that everybody believes the rich and famous don't pay tax? They have special secrets that they know. So of course they believe what these people told them. It's outrageous to think that they don't. To go after these people and financially ruin them, to gut them financially, leave their entrails all over the road because they're some horrible people that ought to have known better, is despicable behavior on the part of our government. It's supposed to be a nicer, kinder Canada. They just pillage when it comes to victims of these frauds. And there's a whole bunch of them that are out there. And the promoters keep talking to their people and saying, we're going to win, we're right, they're wrong, they're just this and that. I don't like our tax department any more than the next guy. But I've got all kinds of suggestions if the government ever wanted to listen how they can collect more tax fairly. And I'm not against tax. I got to stress that. We all have to pay our taxes. We need to pay our taxes. And taxes is a sign of success, so let's be there. But let's not look at this beating up at victims. Why give them the maximum punishment? 50% penalty. The judges in the Giddon case said that that 50% penalty is not criminal in nature because the minister has the right to reduce it. Well, hello, you got the right to reduce it. Why don't you reduce it? It's really offensive to take a young working family trying to get ahead who made a mistake and ruin them. Now, having said that, there is a point to what CRA says. We've got to stop trusting the authorities. We've got to stop trusting the experts. Just because they have the designation, just because they're professional, doesn't mean they know what they're talking about. We've got to stop looking to the government to protect us from the bad guys, because they don't. And in this case, they don't protect you, they come and destroy you. So that's not what we want for our government, but it is what it is. We got what we got. And we have to think for ourselves. And we have to be careful not to get sucked in. And I can guarantee you this. Of the dozens of victims of these stupid schemes across the country, I've never met one person who even would remotely consider doing it again. They've learned their lesson. So what lesson is there for CRA to teach? No, they want to rub sand in the wound. You don't want to be a victim, and somebody says to you, I've got this great tax-paying scheme. Say, you know what? I'd rather be successful. I'd rather have tax to pay as a measurement of success. So I'm going to focus on making money. Because I'll tell you how to pay less tax, make less money. It's as simple as that. Let's take our own power. Let's be good business people. Let's make money. Let's pay tax, and let's not get sucked into the scheme. If you're in a scheme, understand this. You got victimized twice. Once by the schemers, and some of them believed in what they were doing, and victimized twice by your own government. So, take care.